Have you ever thought that a simple habit like nose picking could increase the risk of Alzheimer's? Yes, you heard it right. Let's delve into the science behind this intriguing hypothesis. Imagine this scenario. You're absent-mindedly picking your nose, as perhaps you've done countless times before. Now, what if I told you that this seemingly benign act could potentially increase your risk of developing Alzheimer's disease? An odd connection, isn't it? But let's explore this further. A team of researchers from Western Sydney University in Australia recently advanced this hypothesis. They suggest that when you pick your nose, any bacteria or viruses present on your fingers could get a direct ride into your system through your nose. A simple nose pick could be a Trojan horse for harmful pathogens. But why the nose? Well, it's all about location. The olfactory system, which is responsible for our sense of smell, is located in the roof of the nasal cavity. This system has a direct path to the brain areas where Alzheimer's disease wreaks havoc, such as the hippocampus. Alzheimer's disease is a complex condition with many contributing factors. Traditional culprits include the accumulation of amyloid peptides and tau proteins, but recent evidence also implicates neuroinflammation, inflammation of the nervous tissue in its development. External invading pathogens could potentially kickstart or accelerate this neuroinflammatory process. Enter nose picking, or rhinotelexomania to use its technical term. This common habit could inadvertently assist these invading pathogens in reaching the brain, thereby triggering inflammation. There are two ways this might happen. One, anything harmful on our fingertips gets pushed towards the brain. Two, the act of nose picking could disrupt the balance of the nasal microbiome, weakening its role as a barrier to the body. So it sounds strange, but science suggests nose picking could potentially be a highway for harmful pathogens straight to our brains. In the following scenes, we'll delve deeper into the mechanisms at play, the evidence behind this hypothesis, and the broader implications for understanding and preventing Alzheimer's disease. Stay tuned as we journey into this fascinating realm of scientific exploration. So how exactly does this happen? Let's break down the process. Imagine a bustling city, your body teeming with activity. Now imagine your fingers as curious tourists, eager to explore every nook and cranny. As you engage in nose picking, these tourists embark on a journey towards a part of this city that's directly connected to the brain, the olfactory system in the roof of the nasal cavity. The first way this could potentially lead to brain inflammation and increase the risk of Alzheimer's is through the introduction of unwanted guests. Your fingers, like any tourists, carry souvenirs from their travels, bacteria and viruses. When you pick your nose, these pathogens get a free ticket to your brain. This is not a trip you want them to take. Once these pathogens reach the brain, they can trigger inflammation, which research suggests may be a key player in the development of Alzheimer's disease. The second way nose picking might indirectly lead to brain inflammation involves tipping the balance of the nose's microbiome. The nose is not just a passageway for air, it's also home to a delicate balance of microorganisms that act as a protective barrier. Think of it as the city's defense system. When you pick your nose, you're disrupting this balance, potentially making it less effective at warding off invading pathogens. This disruption might give these invaders a chance to reach the brain and incite inflammation. So, what's the takeaway? Well, every time you pick your nose, you might be giving harmful pathogens a direct route to your brain and weakening your body's natural defenses. This could potentially lead to brain inflammation, a condition that's been linked to the development of Alzheimer's disease. So the habit of nose picking might be more than just a social faux pas. It could actually be compromising the protective barrier of our bodies. Now, what is the evidence supporting this unusual hypothesis? Well, let's dive in and explore. In the world of science, nothing is ever stated as fact without extensive research and evidence. In this case, we are not left wanting. There are several studies that have linked nose picking to an increased risk of infection. One such study, published only last year, even found a connection between the habit and the chance of catching COVID-19. However, it's the link to Alzheimer's disease that truly piques our interest. In 2022, a study was conducted that linked nose picking to Alzheimer's, but there was a catch. The research focused on mice. This study revealed that damage to the nasal epithelium, the tissue lining the nasal cavity, could increase infection risk. This, in turn, led to a response in the brain that was eerily similar to what we see in Alzheimer's patients. But the evidence doesn't stop there. Other telling indicators highlighted by the review include the regular detection of certain viruses in the brains of people with Alzheimer's. This is a significant observation considering that these viruses could potentially be introduced to the brain via the nasal cavity. Moreover, signs of Alzheimer's are often first spotted in the olfactory bulb, the part of the brain that detects smells. This connection to the olfactory system further supports the hypothesis that nose picking could play a role in the development of Alzheimer's disease. Now, it's important to note that while all these studies and observations build a compelling case, they do not provide a definitive conclusion. The link between nose picking and Alzheimer's is still a hypothesis, albeit a strongly supported one. And as is always the case with scientific research, further investigations are needed to either confirm or refute this connection. While these studies don't offer a definitive conclusion, they certainly provide some food for thought. So, the next time you feel the urge to pick your nose, remember, you might just be giving bacteria and viruses a free ride to your brain. Alzheimer's is a complex disease, and understanding its mechanisms is like solving a puzzle. Each piece of information we discover can potentially lead us closer to the bigger picture. One of these pieces is the intriguing presence of certain viruses in the brains of people with Alzheimer's. This finding has prompted researchers to consider the role of external pathogens in kickstarting or accelerating the disease's neuroinflammatory processes. So, how does this relate to our noses? Well, our olfactory system, situated in the roof of the nasal cavity, has a direct path to the brain areas that Alzheimer's typically impact, such as the hippocampus. This means that any pathogens on our fingers could potentially hitch a ride directly to the brain when we pick our noses, bypassing many of the body's natural defenses. But it's not just about ferrying potential viruses and bacteria. The act of nose picking can also disrupt the delicate balance of our nasal microbiome. This intricate ecosystem of microorganisms plays a crucial role in defending our bodies against disease. When we disrupt this balance, our nasal cavity may become a less effective barrier against pathogens, potentially leading to brain inflammation. Another piece of this Alzheimer's puzzle is the olfactory bulb, the part of the brain responsible for detecting smells. Interestingly, it's often in this region that the first signs of Alzheimer's are detected. Could this be another indication of the nose's role in the disease's development? The evidence seems to suggest so. Of course, we're still a long way from definitively stating that nose picking increases the risk of Alzheimer's. But the signs are there, and they're compelling enough to warrant further investigation. As we continue to unravel the mysteries of this complex disease, we're not only getting closer to understanding its causes, but also to developing more effective treatments. These findings suggest that the nose could be a gateway for Alzheimer's disease, making the habit of nose picking potentially more harmful than we thought. So, what can we do to protect ourselves? This is the million-dollar question, isn't it? The answer might be simpler than you think. According to the research team from Western Sydney University, one of the easiest prevention steps we can take is to maintain good hand hygiene. This doesn't merely mean washing our hands before meals or after using the restroom. It extends to keeping our fingers away from our faces and especially our noses. The researchers' hypothesis is rooted in the idea that the olfactory system, the part of our body responsible for our sense of smell, could serve as an entryway for pathogens to the brain. This is particularly concerning, considering that the olfactory system is directly connected to regions of the brain, such as the hippocampus, which Alzheimer's disease notoriously targets. By keeping our hands clean and refraining from nose picking, we can potentially reduce the risk of introducing harmful bacteria and viruses into our system. This in turn could lower the chances of triggering neuroinflammation, the process that is increasingly being linked to the development of Alzheimer's disease. But this isn't just about personal hygiene. It's about understanding and acknowledging the potential role of olfactory pathogen entry in Alzheimer's disease. This idea opens up new avenues for prevention, and it's an area of research that holds promise for the future. As we continue to unravel the complexities of Alzheimer's, This understanding could potentially lead to more effective treatments and preventive measures. So next time you find yourself absent-mindedly reaching for your nose, pause and remember the possible implications. It's not just about avoiding an embarrassing social faux pas, it's about safeguarding your health and your future. Remember, your nose is not just for breathing and smelling, it could be a frontline defense against Alzheimer's. So, next time you think about picking your nose, remember, you might be picking more than you bargained for.